All right, welcome back to my channel where we're reviewing the capabilities of Azure DevOps. We've created a project. We've populated the work items on Azure boards with work that we want to accomplish. We've created a static HTML page. We've added some elements to that static HTML page. We converted it from HTML 4.01 to HTML5, and then we organized the code. The last video, we initialized a Git repo. We saved our code from the local file system where we've been working in to an actual source code repository in Azure DevOps repos. And we modified the readme.md file, and we kind of explained what that markdown file does and why we want one. And then we committed to the master branch. So the next step is to set up branch policies. I'm going to skip that for now. And we're just going to set up a build pipeline and deploy this to a website. So there's an article that's linked in the show notes that I'm going to be going through. And so that's what we're going to do here in this video. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to the Azure portal, and we're going to create a resource group. And I'm going to call it list 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's our resource group. Now we can go in and create a resource. Web app. Click create. We're already in the resource group. We're going to call it test 1, 2, 4. And that's probably going to complain about not being unique enough. If it does, let's put my name. That looks like it's not complaining. The the deployment details, we're going to put other, because we're going to use Azure DevOps. There's no tags, so it should be ready to deploy. All right, so what's going on now is Azure portal is creating a resource, a static website resource. So if I go to that resource, now that it's built, I have a website. Here's the URL for that website they provided to me. And when I put that in, it just says you're live, your web app is live, but you don't have any content yet. So going back to the article, we need to get a deployment token. There's our deployment token. I'm going to copy that. And it says to paste it into a text editor. So I'm just going to use Visual Studio Code. That's the README file we were working with previously. And I'm just going to create that, copy that deployment token to keep for later. So now we're going to set up a build. So if we navigate to, let's go repos. Maybe go to pipelines. No, we need to go back to repos, and that's when we click on set up a build. So we're going to do a starter pipeline. That's what the article says to start with. And we're going to copy and paste this information into, this is a YAML file. And we're just going to, this is the example from the tutorial. We're going to paste that into this area. And one of the things that is different is that my main repository is called master, so I'm going to change that. So let's go through this tutorial real quick and understand what's going on, right? So The app location is in the example is /src for source. We actually have it at the root of our repository, and that's something we'll talk about later. When you start to add capabilities to your repository, another window. Right now, the website is the root. But you'll see here in a minute when I save this pipeline, it's going to add another file in here called Azure Pipelines.yml, which is YAML. So what we don't want to do is include the Azure Pipelines into our website. So one of the things that you'll do is you'll create a /source or /web or some kind of a container for your actual source code so that it's isolated from all the other things. For right now, we'll just stick to that. The output location and the API location are unnecessary, so we'll remove those. And then we have this Azure Static Web Apps API token instruction, and it's calling $deployment_token. What the tutorial tells us to do is to select variables, and we're going to create a variable, new variable, and it's going to be called deployment_token. And the value is going to be what we pasted into Visual Studio Code. It's that deployment, the deployment token. Paste that in. Keep this value secret so it hides it away. And click OK. Now we have a deployment_token variable that we can call inside of our YAML pipeline, and it can use that to deploy to the static website to authenticate and say, yep, I'm allowed to do this. And now we click on Save and Run. So we set up a continuous integration with Azure Pipelines. We're going to commit it directly to the master branch and save and run. Now what you're going to see as it creates this pipeline, I'm going to open up the repository. You can see that our job is running, and it's going to look for an agent and all that good stuff. But you see we have a new file, Azure Pipelines.yml. If I look inside that file, that's exactly what we just edited inside of Azure Pipelines. So it's downloading our code. Now it's deploying to the Azure Static Web App. And in a minute, you'll see that our website has been uploaded to the static website in Azure. And we have a live website at that point. So you can actually modify this pipelines.yaml file here inside inside of your code repository. It's not recommended you do it that way. Typically, you want to go to the pipelines area and make those changes. Token provided was invalid. Did I not copy it right? Okay, here. I screwed up the copy when copied it over. So let's edit variables. Get saved. That secret deployment_token. Okay, save. I did not click save. Back in the variables, it's there. All right. And let's run it again. Okay. If we go back to our pipeline, you'll see that there's a failure here. And it tells us that the deployment token was not valid, and it looks like I failed to save it. That's what happened. We're rerunning that pipeline. Things like that happen. It's downloaded. Checked out the code. Pulling. Copy. I'm trying to copy the files up. Let's see it. Notice there's no secret in here. It's embedded inside of the pipeline process. Okay. Looks like it's saying I can't determine the language from the repo. But it finished the upload and looks like it's going to succeed. All right. So now if we come over here and hit refresh on our website, boom. That looks familiar. It's the same as over here, the local file that we were at. That's right. Index.html. One of the problems that I found was that Azure did not recognize default.html. So let's call that out real quick. So you'll see I renamed the file to index.html. When I was doing my testing prior to this demo, I ran across that problem and just renamed it. So let me just clarify that. I also updated the info.html so that the link went to index.html so that those would work. And there we go. Got our cat page, the info page, and our default page. And the pipeline succeeded. It was automatically deployed based on the pipeline that we executed. And that's it. Now, what we've manually done, though, is we manually went in and created that static website. Ultimately, where we want to go with this pipeline is we want to use infrastructure as code to deploy the infrastructure that's required in addition to the code and run automated tests against it for certain aspects of the site. And what we want it to do, it actually does. But here's the basic pipeline, and here's the basic site, and that's the video. I hope everybody enjoyed that, and if you got any value out of it, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.